This nation is going through what you might call triggers of addiction. Then the question would be, addiction to what? Addictions of what they would call the norm, when things have never been normal, unaware. We've seen the left come into power, and then we've seen the right come into power. And you get addicted to the left or to the right. When neither one is what God had intended, what we would call the norm. What is normal? Well, as Paul said, what is truth? Seeing this word truth as reality. What is the normal, true reality that God had originally intended for us all to experience it in this temporal world? It wouldn't be normal to think that this temporal world is going to last forever. That would be abnormal. Has a beginning and definitely will have an end. We witness this every day. You'd think we would catch that this experience never was intended to last forever. We were warned not to have this steadfast, only gaze upon the things that are seen. They're temporary. But the gain of focus on things that are not seen, only these unseen elements would be considered norm. Eternal. Had no beginning of days, no end of days, was, is, never shall be eternal. Then you would wonder, what was the purpose of this temporary experience? Well, if you ask God, you find out. And if you find out, those that are caught up in these triggers of this abnormal world, this temporal world, will see it as heresy. You can't believe it. God's original intent was to express something that was eternal in a created material world. You see it. The Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That was the original intent. Express the eternal in a temporary, material created world. Some words we got lost, caught up in the triggers of this world. These temporary triggers of addiction. Beyond just drugs. That certainly is one form of addiction. There's addictions to pleasure. Think you're going to last forever. Not going to last forever. This life has peaks, then it has valleys. And it appears that these highs are always preceded by some kind of a low. And our thinking, as the old commercial used to say, it doesn't get any better than this. It does, beyond this temporal world. And God has so set it up. He accused God of setting up good times and bad. He guaranteed that you would not get trapped into a temporal world where there's an evil right from the get-go. When God warned us, you start acting independent from me. See, this world is permanent and not temporal. If you do that, you'll get trapped with the devil's lie. Surely you will not die. Death is introduced to get us out of this world. So what appears to be a curse is a blessing. It constantly reminds us It's only temporary. Don't get trapped into it's thinking it's permanent. It has its purpose. And those purposes have nothing to do with your temporal ideas of purpose. There's eternal purposes of this world that you have to discover. And it's these eternal perspectives that if you gain them, it'll help you endure it and be able to run your race with patience and finish the course. You know it has a beginning, has an end. And you embrace the end because you know the end is really the beginning. It ends this temporal world. And its eternal purpose comes into play. I've labored over years asking these questions. I know all you have. Not the latter part of my life. I got past 65, 70, heading for 80 now. That begin to see things and begin to willingly let things go that I held on to. Old addictions of this life and its interests. And when you start losing these things, they think it's strange that you no longer run with them. Peter said that. You gain these eternal purposes and views and perspective and long for the eternal and begin to let the temporal go, they'll think it's strange that you don't run with them anymore. You can't. It's called the final weaning. Whole series of videos on that, the weaning. All through life we're being weaned. To every high, he guarantees there'll be a low. Things will happen. So he won't get trapped off thinking that it doesn't get any better than this. It does. At his right hand there's pleasures forevermore, beyond any idea of pleasure we might have. They're going forever. Years ago, through writings of input that I got from my father, through my spirit, back then I couldn't really see it. I called it, from once Adam left, we must return. Well, it got labeled Gnostic teaching, it got labeled inclusionist, universalist teaching, Platonic teaching. I mean, they come up with labels. I had to go research, find out what they're talking about. But I wasn't getting it from these other sources. My source of information was coming from my father, through my spirit at the time, that I wasn't even aware of that fact. That I have a human spirit with an eternal mind. It was the same mind that was in the Son of God when he came here as the Son of Man, to which that mind, he lived out of that mind. That's why he could endure. He constantly had contact to the mind of Christ, this anointed mind in his spirit that kept him in contact with his Father. He never acted independent from that mind. Thank God he didn't. That's how we overcame. It's through his overcoming. His righteousness that we overcome. It has nothing to do with us. If it was up to us, we all would be lost, cut off from God, ever learn but never come to the knowledge of the true experience of what this whole life was all about. It's the eternal purpose, why it had a beginning, why it had an end. So later on, I started putting his writings out under another title, and I call it The Ultimate Intention of God. It doesn't get many views because it's rather hard to be understood. It's the teaching of Paul called The Mystery, another series of videos I put out that complement the ultimate intention, eternality of the human spirit, and many other series of videos. In that series of writings, I had one chapter called Triggers. Triggers, unaware to us, set up by our spirits in agreement with the Father, that upon our entering this temporary experience to express an eternal reality, we set up things in our life that keep us from getting too high. And when we did go into these moments of depression, you could look up, having hope beyond things seen, and realizing that the seen is not hope. True hope is eternal. And these triggers will remind you to stay focused, stay in touch with the Father of your spirit, and take heed to these triggers that He would set up with your agreement that you've long since forgot, being covered over by our treacherous soul and this memory we have in our souls of this life. I get into what's called the implicit mind and explicit mind. The human soul, this treacherous soul, this carnal soul, has very little implicit memory of the time when we were in the womb of our mother. It takes an act of God to show that in that moment of innocence, when we were in the womb of our mother, had not come into this world and been influenced by this world, in those moments is hidden a mystery of who we truly are. Hidden. In my series, when the mystery just comes out, how this mystery, in the fullness of time, to our mind and idea of time, 2,000 years ago, when the Son of God came to us as a Son of Man, to demonstrate what a true Son of Man would see and understand, and see God as our Father. Jesus, at the young age of 12, come to comprehend that, and had to say to his natural parents, Mary and Joseph, don't you know I have to be about the will of my Father? That's some point in our life. Now, I say he was virgin born. We weren't virgin born. We're born with natural parents. David saw that in Psalm 51. Conceived in sin, cut off from God as our Father. Looking to natural parents who themselves were cut off from God and not knowing this mystery, and are being shaped in some particular iniquity of our parents, and that iniquity coming in the form of what's called the flesh of some particular race, culture, secular religious creeds, or opinions of gender. A whole series of videos on this matter of the flesh. It gets past just the byproducts of this flesh, what's called sins, S-I-N-S, and it focuses more on this thing of the sin, S-I-N, this sin nature that Hebrews chapter 12 says that so easy beset us all. It cut us off from God. We were unaware of who our Father, true Father is. With Jesus' own warning, call no man your father. Why? Because you already have one. Unaware. That's the opening video at this point on my series of videos on YouTube. This mystery of God being your eternal Father, always being your Father, and you being unaware of that. Calling natural parents Father. They're not your father. They're more like surrogate parents who were committed by God to bring you into this world and then teach you to time as to who your true father is. God is your father. That they were just mom and dad.